lots of big things happening for you. I know we're very excited to hear from you. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you all for joining this event today in our new norm. This is something different for us all, but I'm glad to be talking to you guys today on how Kiki's Chicken and Waffles got started. And Haven did a good job of going through our story and just to go in depth of how me and my husband got started. I worked at a local restaurant while attending USC, and this local restaurant taught me so much about the restaurant business. And we decided, we didn't know exactly what type of restaurant we wanted to open 9 years ago, but it was just doing going through and brainstorming, trying to decide on what we wanted to do. And so we took a short trip to Atlanta, Georgia, and we went to a restaurant called Gladys Knight Chicken and Waffles, which this place was the go-to place when you go to Atlanta. And we waited 2 hours to eat at this restaurant. And so once we got seated, we were like, we need to bring a chicken and waffle spot to Columbia, South Carolina. And so that's how we decided on the Kiki's Chicken and Waffles. And my full name is Kitwanda. And so Kiki is short for my full name. And that's how we came up with the name. And so once we got back into Columbia, we just started brainstorming. We did our research. This local restaurant, the managers there and the operating partners, they were very welcoming of giving me information on how to get certain things and how to do certain things that I didn't know how to do from working in the restaurant. And so once we had that information, it was all about looking for that location that we wanted while developing that business plan. And so we rode around town just trying to find a location that we really wanted to, take that step and open up our restaurant. And we were stuck on this one location in Columbia and was let down when we called the realtor, and they said that they wanted someone who had business experience or someone who had restaurant experience. And so we were like, we don't have the business experience. And so basically they just told us no. And the realtor that we did call, she said, well, I do have a place off of Two Notch Road that I think you guys would like. The tenants left out in the middle of the night and the owner wants to get someone in there as soon as possible. And so we went to the place and checked it out. It was kind of small, but we loved it. And it had the equipment in there. It had tables and chairs, which is one good thing about finding a location. You want to find some place that has some of the equipment that you would need, so you won't spend a lot of money with buying equipment. And so we gave the owner our business plan, and he loved the chicken and waffle idea, and he was like, let's go for it. And so we signed the papers, and we started the process of opening our restaurant. From there, and going through finding a food distributor and finding more equipment that we needed, finding our staff. And I actually I didn't use Facebook. I think putting jobs on Facebook wasn't the thing back 8 years ago. So I actually used Craigslist. I hate saying that to this day, because Craigslist is like the place where people, kind of don't use anymore too much. So I use Craigslist, and actually I have about 5 employees that I found on Craigslist that are still working for us to this day. So it wasn't actually a bad idea, but now, you're thinking back like, wow, you use Craigslist to find staff. But finding staff was one of my was very tough during that time. And just getting funding as well. A lot of people ask, how did you get funding for the restaurant? We actually went to the banks and, try to get a loan, but of course, the bank stated to us that restaurants are risky and they did not want to give us any money. So basically we just poured in all our savings into opening this restaurant, and didn't know how it was gonna, if it was going to do good at all, but it was the risk that we took. And I'm glad we took that choice of opening the restaurant. 2 weeks in, it didn't seem like that because we did not have a lot of people come through our doors. And one of the biggest things is, I did not market at all. And actually my degree is in marketing, and I know marketing is important, but when you put in your money to opening up a business, it's like, you don't have that money to spend on marketing because it's so expensive. And so at that time, 2 weeks in, we had probably like 5 people come through the doors, being open for like 10 hours. And like, wow, did we make the right choice of opening this restaurant? And so we just started to, post on Facebook, start handing out to-go menus to local businesses. And then I can't remember exactly what kind of made, people start coming in. We just had like a good flow of people coming in, people taking pictures of the food, and Instagram was kind of just came out. So people were taking pictures of the food and putting on Facebook and Instagram. We had Coach Staley do a radio commercial for us as well. And Coach Staley, she actually worked for her while I was at USC as the women's basketball team manager. And so she actually agreed to do a radio commercial for us. And to share a funny story about that, when you open up a business, you have vendors come in the door, you have people who want you to do business with them like left and right. And so guy came in, he worked for Kiss FM, and he said, Kiki, I see you guys don't have any radio commercials or any marketing going. Let's do a radio commercial. And I was like, I really didn't spend, I really don't have the money to spend, but go ahead and drop me a proposal and I'll look it over or whatever once you come up with something. And so he, and then he also did know that I worked for the women's basketball team as well. So, that was something that we talked about while he was there. And so lo and behold, 3 days later, he comes to me and said, you know what, I thought it'd be a good idea to have Coach Staley do a commercial for you. And I was like, no, I really don't want to, bother her because, it's basketball season. And I'm not the type to ask people for things or whatever. I just try to do things myself. And he was like, well, I already asked her. And she said yes. And I'm like, really? You asked her to do this for me? So I'm on the phone texting her saying, thank you for doing this for me or whatever. And sorry that it happened this way, because I would want to ask you first before, someone else asked you or whatever for me. And she was like, oh, no, it's no problem. I don't mind at all. And that really put us on the map by having her do the marketing, the radio commercial for us. And I mean, like, just the amount of people, from 5 people coming through those doors to, people just coming through the doors, and it was just so busy. That really put us on the map. But a question about the COVID and, how the changes have been since we opened our doors in the beginning of this year. It has been a total change. We basically have stayed open the whole time. Our first location, which is the one, not our first location, but the Park Lane location, that location has been open since COVID, and it did not close, but we just was serving to-go orders. And our Borough Parkway location, we ended up closing that for about 2 or 3 months because we just wasn't getting the customers, the sales, sales weren't up at all. So we just went ahead and just closed that for the time being. But now, both locations are open, and we're getting, good business coming through the doors. But pre-COVID, our day-to-day was, ordering food through our U.S. food distributor, checking the line, just making sure that the food is prepared the right way, making sure that our staff comes in on time and make sure they're doing their side duties and closing duties. All the norms of, opening up any restaurant or business, clothing store, you pretty much was doing the same thing. But after, post-COVID, basically our day-to-day now, it's, doing the same thing as what we were doing pre-COVID, in addition to, wiping down the door handles more than what we were doing before, not having our guests waiting in the front in the lobby area, having to wait outside or in their cars if it's raining. And we also have this system put in place where we can text them and have them, waiting in their cars or outside, and text them, let them know when their table is ready. Also, with the limited seating, it's so hard because a lot of people come in with their families, and our business is mainly for families. When they come in, they just enjoy the atmosphere and the kids enjoy it. So the limited seating, it causes, some people who, don't like to wait, to get upset, but this is pretty much our new norm. So, just walking around and letting them know what's going on, and, just following the policies and procedures that have been put in place for restaurants. Also, we don't put any menus on the table, so we don't let our menus, we don't have any menus right now. We just have them scan our QR code on the tables, and they're able to go straight to our website to look at the menu. We do frequent bathroom checks, just to make sure that we're wiping down the handles more than what we were doing before, basically, because this COVID is a real thing, and we want to make sure that our staff and our customers are, taken well care of while they're, dining in with us. It's the new norm, and it has been tough, but we've been, staying strong. And one good thing I would say is our customers, they support us so much, and they're still coming in if they're not dining in because they feel that, the COVID is still, really bad out there. They do order the to-go food. So yeah, that's my story. And just to, tell you about the process of, when we opened up our restaurant, a lot of people always ask me, what was the hardest process of opening up a restaurant? And I would say finding that location, because, when you have your mind set on a location, when you're driving around, when you want something so bad and you kind of already have it in your mind of how you want things, and someone just, says no because you don't have that experience, it's just kind of like a big letdown. But, I would always tell someone who wants to open up their own business is never take that no as a, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to just give up, because you have so many no's, but that should motivate you to continue to find that location or push you to, get to that point that you want to, get to. And then to this day, when we were looking for a location to put our second location, that same location, that same owner that told us no, they have been begging us, or they were begging us to come and put our second location there. And, now we get to make that decision on if we wanted to move into that location, which we went with somewhere else, because we just thought that the Bower Parkway location was the better move for us. So, when you start back and you think about it, wow, that no, really was something that let us down. But now look where we're at now, that, we made that decision of not giving up. Any questions? You guys feel free to ask me questions as I'm talking. I'm just kind of just making sure I hit everything as I go through our story. The restaurant business, it's, I do get a lot of people who ask me, they want to open up a restaurant and they don't know the steps to take to open the restaurant. And, I would tell people, cooking is one thing. If you know how to cook, is one thing, but you have to know how to run the restaurant. So you have to know how to control the doors. If you ever go to a restaurant and you see that they're on a wait and pre-COVID, and if they have any open tables, you're like, well, why aren't they seating people and they got tables here and there? Restaurants do that because they're trying to control their restaurants so that they're not bombarding their cooks with a lot of tickets. You know, you got a party of 20 in the back that you don't see, and they have these open tables. They're trying to get that party out before they seat you, because I'd rather have my guests wait out at the door than have them wait at the table to waiting on their food. So that's a little tip to you guys who kind of look around restaurants and wonder why the open tables and why aren't there seating people. That is the reason why. How did your business take a big leap to, how did you take the big leap to start your own business? You know, I always had that dream to work in the sports field. My major was in marketing and sports entertainment management as a minor. I always had that passion to cook and always to open my business, open a restaurant, because I always had that passion to cook. And like I said, I met my husband working at a local restaurant, and we both always had that passion of opening our own restaurant. And we just decided to do it. It was tough, you know, because when you want to open up a business, it is a big leap. And you just have, if you have the faith and you want to do it, just go for it, because the only thing that's going to happen, either you're going to fail or do good. And my thing is, I'm not going to fail. I'm just going to make sure that I'm doing what it takes to make sure that I make it. And I think we're doing a pretty good job at it. What is your most popular item, and how do you determine your menu items? So our most popular item on our menu, believe it or not, is the Kiki soul food plate. And I did not have that entree item when we first started. We basically kind of geared our menu. When we first started out, our menu was very limited. We had chicken and waffles, we had few breakfast items, and then we had, you know, salmon, we had other items just to give people a variety to choose from who didn't want to eat chicken or who didn't want to eat, you know, chicken and waffles. But now, after we moved to our Park Lane location from our Spring Valley location, we decided to venture out and have more items on the menu from what customers asked for. So now we're considered that soul food restaurant, because we didn't have mac and cheese when we first opened. We didn't have collard greens. You know, a lot of people just came in and was like, hey, you guys should have this. You guys should add Kool-Aid. You guys should do this. And so we took those comments and ideas and just used it and put those items on our menu. And the soul food plate and our red velvet waffle are our top items that people love to order when they come in. Who taught you how to cook? So I learned how to cook from my mom and my grandparents. You know, back in the day, my grandparents to this day, they still cook every day. They might take a little break on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, but every day my grandparents is always cooking, and I always just sat there and watched them and helped them in the kitchen. And to this day, I would call my grandmother and ask her, hey, how do you make this? You know, how do you do this? And, you know, she just, you know, they didn't, you know, have culinary degrees, and I don't have a culinary degree either. And just learning from, you know, our ancestors of how to cook and how to cook that good Southern food. That's basically how I learned it. Opening and running a restaurant is not for the weak. I've done it and it did not last a year. I'm sorry to hear that. And you know, restaurants are very risky. It's so true. You just have to you just have to have that faith. And like I said, when we opened, you know, I could count on my hand how many people came through those doors. And at the time I was working at Newberry College in the sporting department, athletic department. Because, you know, I didn't really need to be there when we first started. And, you know, my husband would call me and say, you know, I don't know if we made the right decision. And I was like, you know, let's just stick it out. We didn't do any marketing, so let's just see how it goes. And, we just sticked it out and just went with it. And my biggest thing is I'm really, with the COVID, it's really affected so many restaurants. I went down to Charleston last weekend and saw so many restaurants closed on King Street because of the COVID. And you have to understand, these places are paying $10,000, $11,000 a month. Just imagine how many people you would have to have come through the doors to be able to pay that rent, to pay your staff, pay your managers. It's tough. And I would say too, me and my husband still work in our business. We try to stay in our business because we feel that it helps us in a way, because people feel that they know us, and we do know. I can tell you, I can count on my hand the amount of people that came through those doors and still support us today. And I can tell you as well what they order when they came in the first time they came in, because they still order and they still enjoy the food and they still enjoy the atmosphere. So having that relationship with your customers is very important as well. Were you always interested in cooking, and did you have a love of cooking to open a restaurant? I always had an interest in cooking. I always loved to cook, and I always wanted to open our own restaurant. And I just, you have so many different careers that you want to get into in that sporting field I wanted to be in, but the restaurant was really what I really wanted to do. Any thought of issuing franchises nationwide? I'm still up in the air of if we want to do franchises or if we just want to have many different locations owned by us. And I've been talking to my mentor about this, because my mentor is actually the person who owns our Park Lane location. His name is Chad Waldroff, and he actually started Sticky Fingers. And I called him up one day and I was like, hey, Chad, you call and, talk to us about, issues with the building or whatever. If we have issues with the building, we'll call him up. And I'll call him up one day and I said, hey, have you ever mentored anyone? And he was like, Kiki, I've never mentored anyone, but I would love to talk to you and Tyrone about, mentorships or whatever. And so we call him every once in a while just to get ideas on, what's the best move for us, being that we have 2 locations and we're still in our business. And, we want to stay in our business. How would we do that and try to open more restaurants up? And he said, you just have to come up with that goal of that end plan and that, the goal that you both want to do with your restaurant. And I follow a lot of restaurants, and I like In-N-Out Burger. If you guys ever try In-N-Out Burger, their restaurant is in their family. They do not franchise their business. And I think that's what I want to do. But then when you start thinking about it, how are you going to be able to manage those businesses when it's just the 2 of you guys? And I started thinking, I was like, I may want to do the franchising. So I'm not sure exactly how I want to do it, but I know we want to have more than 2 locations. Are your recipes inspired by family recipes or from experimenting? Both. So the chicken and waffles was just experimenting. The chicken recipe of frying our chicken, that is a family recipe. But the other items that we have, most of them are from experimenting, and then half is from family recipes. Have you learned from any mistakes? If so, what were they? Oh my gosh. Yes. So when you open up a restaurant and you have a small restaurant, when your staff does things wrong, and I'm not going to get in detail of what they did do wrong, but when they do things wrong, sometimes you kind of turn your head. For instance, if your staff comes in late, and that you're going to be busy, especially on a Saturday, you might have 2 people that come in late. On a busy weekend, my restaurant owners or people who've started restaurants, they know that you can't just send them home, or you can't just say you're fired because you need them. And for us, we don't have a huge staff because we don't want to have a heavy payroll. So it's almost like you're turning your head sometimes when people do things wrong because you know you need them. And, you know, on the weekends, you know, sometimes we would be short staffed and it's like, okay, why did I send this person home? It's just like you kind of have to kind of like play. You kind of have to do things in a way to help you succeed in the restaurant business. And I would say that would be a big mistake on our end, is because people tend to continue to do those things knowing that you would be okay with it because you know you need them. And I would say people who have started with us from day one do certain things because they feel that they can get away with it because they know the business really well. So it's tough, but I'm learning to put my foot down on certain things and not allow those things to hurt our business, because when new people come in, they see it and they think it's okay, and you're just having a whole type of cycle go on. So that's one of the mistakes I would say that me and my husband are learning from, because good help is hard to find. I'm telling you, especially right now with COVID and people taking advantage of this unemployment, it's tough out here to find good people. And then also another mistake I would say is doing research on contractors and making sure you're doing the right checks in buildings when you're trying to get a restaurant location. Because, you know, when you're ready to make that move and you see a location, it's like, okay, I want this location so bad, but did you have that person come in to check that place? Did you have a plumber come in, check the plumbing in the building before you sign the papers? Did you have a contractor check the roofing? And after you sign that lease, it's pretty much too late, you know, because sometimes the contract wouldn't have in there, okay, that's on the owner, or that grease trap wasn't there, so that's on the owner, or that's on the tenant. So doing those checks before you actually sign those papers, those are some of the mistakes that we made, but we have definitely learned from them. One Saturday, we were slam packed busy and our whole kitchen was flooded with water. And lo and behold, it was just like, we just didn't do those checks in the beginning, and wish we did to this day, but you live and you learn. Do you run daily or weekly specials, and do you believe this helps repeat business? We don't really do daily or weekly specials at all. I feel that what we do now is working, and if it works, don't change it. But, you know, if we do have something that, you know, our US food distributor, if he brings something in, like, you know, crab patties or something, hey, try this on the menu for this week just to see how it goes. Yeah, we would do that, but we normally don't do any daily or weekly specials. We do have a lunch special that we have Monday through Thursday. And we didn't have that when we first opened. And the reason why we added it, because, you know, our chicken and waffle is so huge, and we wanted to build up our lunch crowd. And so I'm like, well, chicken and waffles is a lot to eat during your lunch. Let's give them a smaller portion, and, you know, do a smaller, you know, a decrease of the pricing on the chicken and waffles and see how that goes. And that was a big hit. So that lunch special, we run all day Mondays, and then we run it Tuesday through Thursday from 11 to 4. Let's see, I learned in experience, okay. That I learned from the experience anchored my current business, which is 15 years old, and expanded into 2 locations. That's awesome, Cassandra. You didn't let that restaurant that failed keep you from opening your other business. That's awesome. I'd love to know what the other business is. Dean asks, are you originally from Columbia? I am not. I'm originally from Charleston. A lot of people ask me, how did I make my way to Columbia? My dad actually was in the military, and I went to high school in New York, Long Island, New York, to be exact. And I chose USC because I knew my dad wasn't going to be in New York for long, and most of my family was in Charleston. So I actually applied to Clemson and I applied to Columbia, and I got into both, but I made the right choice and came to USC. And so basically I made Columbia my home after in 2004 when I came to Columbia. Okay, mental health, good job, Cassandra, I love it. How did you know it was time to open a second location? Do you want to open another in Columbia or another city? We knew that it was time to open up a second location because of the wait time on the weekends. It just got to be too much, 2-hour wait on the weekends. And believe it or not, we still have that 2-hour wait, but knowing that we have another location on the other side of town makes you feel a whole lot better. And we decided to put that second location off of Harbison Bauer Parkway because we felt that the restaurants will be spread out enough to hit both sides. So you have the group that stays in the northeast side, the park that will focus to the Park Lane location. And then we have the other location that will have our Irmo customers and our Chapin customers visit as well. So they wouldn't have to travel all the way from that side of town to the Park Lane location. And then just messages from people through my email, just saying, hey, I traveled from Irmo, I traveled from Chapin, I traveled from Newberry to visit your location. We knew it was time to get a location on that side of town. And then, when you start to see your sales, good, and you just, start thinking, okay, let's try to get this other location here on the other side of town. I don't think we would want another location in Columbia. I think we would probably venture out to Charleston to see how that works. We do have a lot of customers that travel from Charleston, Rock Hill area, Augusta, Aiken, Orangeburg, Newberry. So I don't know about those other markets, but I think Charleston will be the next move for us. So that's what we want to try to venture out. I was about to say something and I just kind of lost my train of thought. And we do have a location in the Colonial Life Arena. Coach Staley actually helped us out with that. A lot of people go to the basketball games and they enjoy the food. And actually before we even got in the Colonial Life Arena, I don't think we could have gotten there before because I think they had Bojangles in the Colonial Life Arena. And usually they would have some type of clause in their agreement stating that no one else can serve fried chicken. And so believe it or not, when Bojangles left, we were able to get an opportunity to get in there and serve for the women's basketball games. We don't really do too many concerts because of how the stage is set up, because we're on the back end of the Colonial Life Arena. So if you go to a women's basketball game, we are actually behind the guests' bench. So if you go up the stairs from the guest bench for the women's basketball game, we are right there. So if if there is a concert there, we actually will be behind the stage. So we rarely do concerts, but we do some. If you could redo the first location's opening, would you spend time and money on marketing? Yes, I would. Because after I saw that the radio advertisement was helping, we started to do billboards. We started to do ads in the free times. We started to do ads in the state newspaper. We did a lot after, I saw that it was working. And a lot of people was like, well, you had a degree in marketing. Why didn't you spend money on it? It's just that we spent all our money into opening this location. We just didn't have the money to spend on it. In the radio marketing, it wasn't expensive as I thought it was. So that's why we went with the Kiss FM. And it was a big hit, and especially with having a celebrity do the commercial. It was awesome because everyone loves Coach Staley. So, but the billboards help, and now that's my go-to right now, the billboards, because people always looking at billboards when they're traveling, and I always position it in a way that I know when a lot of people are coming into town, I'll position it on I-26 so that it can hit the people coming in for the football games from Chapin area, Newberry area. I'll put it on 26 coming into Columbia. And then when football season ends, I'll put it on the other side of people who come in, leaving Northeast side to Harbison area to shop. And so right now that's where we're at on 26, where St. Andrews Road is. And then now we're gonna move to Piney Grove Road because believe it or not, a lot of people on that side do not know about our location on Bio Parkway, and we're next to the movie theater. But I started thinking, well, you know, you have Netflix and you have Hulu. A lot of people aren't going to the movie theaters these days. And then also with COVID, people aren't going to go to the movies these days. So it's a lot to think about when you're trying to market to your customers and get a lot of people in those doors. I also do Facebook ads, which is an awesome marketing technique, is the digital marketing, because everyone's on Facebook, everybody's on Instagram. We also did TV commercials as well. That was also a big hit. And I did my TV commercial through Spectrum, and it was a big hit. I would say we would go back to that because people are watching TV more because they're home. But I think the billboards is where it's at right now, being that people are out and about now, that they've been in the homes for about 6 months now. So yeah, marketing is very important when you're trying to get your name out there. And I'll consider ourselves as a destination restaurant because I can't remember what hurricane it was in Florida and people were evacuating this way or to North Carolina. We had a lot of people and we definitely weren't prepared because, you know, you're thinking, okay, we're not going to be, you know, busy. People are going to be in their house because it's raining and, you know, we might get flooded or something like that. But believe it or not, we had so many people come from Florida, Charleston. I just couldn't believe it. But I just, you know, thank our customers for spreading the word about us and, you know, talking good about us, because that's the only way they know about us is, you know, from people talking about it. Word of mouth is very important. I imagine if you could redo the first location, okay, I said that. I imagine you have managers who oversee staff at your various locations. How did you go about selecting them? What are you looking for in your managers and staff? So believe it or not, my managers are very young. And they basically started out from being a server. And the reason why I did that is because they know the business. They have been with us since day one. And so I feel that they understand how our restaurant flows. And so I gave them the opportunity to take on a manager position. And it also makes them feel good, like they are part of our team, and they are. And I think bringing someone up within your business is very important than bringing someone outside of your business inside to manage your staff, because they don't know your system. And then also it's almost like you don't care about your staff that works for you. And so that's why we kind of hire within. And what we look for in our managers is someone who can motivate our staff, because once again, I have a young front of the house staff. And so they have to work like how we would want them to work. And not saying that when we're gone, they don't do certain things that we don't like, but they do really good. And I appreciate them so much. You know, most of our traffic of our employees that come in that want to, you know, work for us, they come in from, you know, just eating in our restaurant all the time, or my husband know their parents, or they just come in and want a job. And so we make sure that we, you know, talk to them and make sure that they understand that, you know, this is a job and not a playground. And if you want to make money, you know, there's opportunity for that, but just come in here and do what is asked of you, and you'll be good to go. And crazy thing is, a lot of them come in and working for us is their first job. So we're teaching them how to manage money. We're teaching them how to customer service, which is very important. And a lot of them do not know good customer service. And so, when things happen in the restaurant, because things are not going to be perfect. That's one of the things that I've learned when opening this restaurant is things are not going to be perfect, and always expect the unexpected, because you can have everything in place and something happens and just like, oh, what am I going to do? And you have to think quick. But with our staff, we teach them, have trainings. I wish we could have that Chick-fil-A, type of training. But that's on my list to do, because like I said, my staff, they don't understand the customer service that we would want to give our customers when they come in. And it's tough, because when you have two locations and you're trying to teach them, okay, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're smiling when you're answering the phone, make sure you're always, don't have a guest walk past you without saying, hey, how are you doing? Are you enjoying the food? Stuff like that. I like the dress you're wearing, or I like that new haircut, or what brings you back here? That's very important when your customers are coming in, because they feel that they're family, and we can't push that, hey, when you're here, you're family, if you're not being treated that way. And so that's one of our biggest things that we try to teach to our managers, to run this place like it's yours. Invest in this business like it's yours. Yeah. What is your favorite part of your job? Meeting the people, our customers that come in. I'm not even talking about the celebrities, but just customers that come in. You never know who comes through your doors, and just having that conversation. My husband have met people that have lived in the same area. He has lived in New York, and he's from the Bronx. So that's a long way to actually meet people that are from the same area that you've been brought up in. I'm a military brat, so I've had classmates travel from Augusta, Georgia, New York to try my food out, because they see how well we're doing from Instagram and Facebook. So that just brings joy to me, that people will support me from all walks of life, and just the amount of people that have supported us in the Columbia area and surrounding areas is just awesome. And then also, favorite part is just teaching our young staff, because that's what they need these days. They're not taught this in school. So, teaching them that customer service will take you a long way, in being respectful and understanding of how things work, because, one day they may want to open up their own business. So we try to teach them certain tasks and skills that they can use in everyday life. Yeah. Let's see, do I have any more questions? Let's skip over any. I think I hit all my questions. Yeah.
Anyone else has some last minute burning questions for Kiki? Make sure you drop those in the chat, but it does look like you got through all of them. Thank you so much for joining us on your lunch hour.
Thank you for having us.
All about your restaurants and owning a business and everything. I know it was super informative.
How's Tyler Jr. doing? Tyler is fine. Tyler is in school, and he is something else. We try to teach him all about the restaurant business. And one thing about me and my husband, we try not to talk about restaurant business at home, being that we kind of want to have that, time away from the restaurant. And so when we do talk about the restaurant, he's right there and he's taking it all in. And so we don't even know that he's taking it all in. And so, and then 2 days, 3 days later, he's like, mommy, did so-and-so get that food out the other day? And I'm like, what? So he's already talking restaurant language. It's crazy. But he's our main guy. We love him so much.
That's awesome. Learning young. All right. Well, thank you so much again for your time today. Really appreciate it. Got lots of awesome info, and thank you everyone else for joining on your lunch break. There will be a recording of this sent out with the survey email in a few days if you want to rewatch. But other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you again, Kiki.
Thank y'all so much. I appreciate you guys.
Bye.